Let's get one thing straight right now. If you're a man over 60 and someone told you it's just normal to wake up 2 or 3 times a night to use the bathroom, you have been misled. That is not your new normal, and it is certainly not harmless. Hello, health champions, and welcome. A huge and warm thank you to our regular viewers for being such an important part of this growing community. And if you're new here, a very special welcome to you. We're glad to have you. I'm Dr. Katherine Rotker, a specialist in men's health and geriatric medicine. For over 20 years, I've dedicated my practice to helping men just like you solve prostate issues, low energy, and other challenges to your vitality. I've helped thousands of men reclaim their strength, their confidence, and their independence. Now, most people believe your prostate grows simply because you're getting older. I'm here to change that thinking. Age alone isn't the main culprit. The real root causes are 8 specific, overlooked daily behaviors that triggers a cycle of silent inflammation. This inflammation is what drives those frustrating symptoms, the constant urgency, the dribbling, those exhausting late-night trips. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what these habits are. You will understand precisely why they're so dangerous for your prostate health. And most importantly, I will show you how to stop them naturally without jumping straight to medications or surgery. My goal is for you to finally sleep through the night, wake up refreshed, and start feeling like your best self again. If you're ready for that, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our crucial health tips tailored for men over 60. And right now, let me know this is hitting home. In the comments below, simply type yes if this message resonates with you, or no if it doesn't. Your feedback helps me make content that truly serves you. Now, let's begin with the first hidden habit. This one involves a common relaxation technique that actually backfires. I'm talking about hot baths and frequent sauna sessions. This is a habit I address all the time in my clinic, and it often surprises men the most. A gentleman will come in, we'll be discussing his frustrating nightly trips to the bathroom, and he'll mention how he relies on a long, hot soak in the tub every evening to finally relax his body and get some relief from the aches and pains of the day. It's a ritual that feels deeply soothing and seems like it should be helping. My response is always empathetic but clear. I tell him, I completely understand why you do that. You're seeking relief, and that heat feels wonderful on sore muscles. But that very habit, while well-intentioned, might be quietly making your prostate symptoms worse. On the surface, heat promotes relaxation, so it feels like it should calm everything down, including an irritated prostate. The intuitive logic is that warmth eases tension. However, the hidden physiology tells a different story. While a brief warm bath can offer short-term muscle relaxation, prolonged and frequent exposure to intense heat directed at the pelvic area has a different effect. The science shows that excessive heat causes significant vasodilation. That's a fancy term for your blood vessels expanding to bring more blood flow to the area. For a prostate that is already inflamed or enlarged, this surge in blood flow and the resulting rise in local tissue temperature can actually promote more swelling and congestion within the prostate gland itself. This added pressure inside the prostate then squeezes the urethra, the tube that runs through it, even tighter. So, after that initial period of relief, you might find yourself facing increased urinary urgency, a weaker stream, and more frequent nighttime awakenings. The pattern I see is a man who enjoys his hot bath at 8 p.m., feels relaxed and goes to bed, but then is up at 11 p.m., 1 a.m., and 3 a.m., wondering why his symptoms are beyond the physical discomfort. This is emotionally draining. It feels like you can't win. The one thing that helps you unwind is also sabotaging your sleep. It's incredibly frustrating, and I see that burden on my patients' faces. The good news is you don't have to give up warmth entirely. The key is moderation and method. I advise keeping soaks or sauna sessions to a maximum of 10 to 15 minutes and ensuring the water temperature is no hotter than 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Crucially, you must drink a full glass of water before and after to stay hydrated, as dehydration will further irritate your bladder and prostate. This approach allows you to enjoy the muscular benefits without overheating and congesting the pelvic region. Now, if something as seemingly harmless as a long soak can quietly make prostate symptoms worse, could another everyday habit you rely on also be fueling the problem? Let's take a closer look. Frequent use of antihistamines or decongestants is one I see far more often than most men realize. It's not just the seasonal allergy sufferer who reaches for these medications. It's also the man with a lingering winter cold, the one trying to get through a dusty home renovation, or the retiree who swears by a nightly just-in-case allergy pill to keep his sinuses clear. I remember one patient of mine, Mr. Lewis, a vibrant gentleman in his early 70s who loved gardening. He came to me because his urinary symptoms had taken a sharp turn for the worse over the spring. His stream had nearly disappeared, and the urgency was constant. We reviewed everything, his diet, exercise, you name it. It wasn't until we dug into his daily routine that he mentioned taking an over-the-counter decongestant and an antihistamine every single day for his seasonal allergies. He just saw it as managing his sniffles. I had to give him the surprising news that those little pills were likely the primary culprit behind his sudden decline. This is a story I hear all too often. These medications, while great for clearing a stuffy nose, have a direct and negative impact on the urinary system. Decongestants work by constricting blood vessels throughout your body to reduce swelling. Unfortunately, they also constrict the smooth muscle tissue in the prostate and the neck of the bladder, effectively tightening the chokehold on your urethra and making it much harder to pass urine. Antihistamines, especially the older first-generation kinds that make you drowsy, do the opposite. They relax muscles too much. This can impair the bladder's ability to contract fully, leading to incomplete emptying and that feeling of needing to go again right away. For men with an already enlarged prostate, this combination is a perfect storm for worsening retention, a weaker stream, and more frequent trips, especially at night. This risk is significantly higher for men over 60. Our bodies process medications differently as we age, and we are often managing other health conditions that make us more vulnerable to these side effects. My first recommendation is to never hesitate to bring a bag of all your medications and supplements to your doctor or pharmacist, including every over-the-counter remedy. For allergies, we can often explore excellent non-sedating antihistamine alternatives or even simple saline nasal sprays that provide relief without the systemic side effects. For my Mr. Lewis, we worked with his primary care doctor to find a safer alternative for his allergies. Within just a couple of weeks of stopping the decongestant, he reported a dramatic improvement. His flow was stronger, the urgency settled down, and he was back to enjoying his garden without the constant worry of finding a bathroom. It was a simple change that made a world of difference. And while this habit is about what you put into your body, the next one isn't about medication at all. It's about a physical routine many men enjoy, but few realize could be quietly fueling their prostate troubles. I had a patient, an incredibly fit man in his late 60s, we'll call Tom, who came to me baffled. He was an avid cyclist, logging over 100 miles a week to stay in shape and keep his heart healthy. But instead of feeling better, he was dealing with increased numbness, discomfort, and a noticeable worsening of his urinary urgency. He was frustrated because he felt he was doing everything right for his body, yet his symptoms were telling a different story. Tom, like many men, believed that any form of exercise was inherently good and that pushing through discomfort was just part of the process. I completely understand that mindset, but when it comes to prostate health, the type of exercise and how you do it matters immensely. The issue with traditional bicycle seats is their design. A standard, narrow, pointed seat places direct and prolonged pressure on the perineum, that critical area between the scrotum and the rectum. This pressure compresses nerves and, most importantly, restricts blood flow to the prostate gland. Think of it like sitting on a garden hose. You're cutting off the vital circulation that brings oxygen and nutrients to the tissue and carries away waste products. Over time, this repeated pressure during long rides can lead to irritation, inflammation, and a significant aggravation of existing prostate issues like BPH or prostatitis. The single most effective change you can make is to invest in a well-designed men's prostate seat. Look for one that is wider at the back to support your sit bones and has a central cutout or groove that completely relieves pressure on the perineum. This simple swap allows you to continue reaping the cardiovascular benefits of cycling without the harmful side effects. For Tom, this was the solution that made all the difference. He switched to an ergonomic seat, adjusted his handlebars to a more upright riding position to shift his weight back, and started making a point to stand on the pedals every 10 minutes to restore blood flow. Within 3 weeks, the numbness and discomfort were gone, and within a month, he reported a solid improvement in his urinary symptoms. He didn't have to give up his passion. He just had to approach it smarter. Remember, staying hydrated on your rides is also crucial. Now, making a simple equipment change can protect your prostate from physical pressure, but what about the internal pressure from things you consume every day? What if something you believe is a healthy choice, like switching to diet soda, could be having a similar inflammatory effect? I will be the first to admit, for years I thought I was making a smart swap by using those little blue packets in my iced tea. It feels like you're doing the right thing for your waistline, and that intention is completely understandable. But that daily diet soda or sugar-free yogurt might be quietly irritating your prostate and bladder, contributing to the very symptoms you're trying to avoid. Your body doesn't quite know what to do with these intense artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin. For a significant number of people, especially men with sensitive prostates, these compounds are not just neutral. They can act as a direct irritant to the lining of the bladder and the prostate tissue itself. Think of it like a tiny, constant abrasion provoking a low-grade inflammatory response. Emerging research suggests these sweeteners can disrupt the delicate balance of bacteria in your gut and urinary tract, which is a cornerstone of controlling inflammation throughout the body. The lived experience of this is what I see in my clinic. A man who has switched to diet drinks to be healthier then notices a slow but steady increase in that nagging urgency, a feeling of irritation after he urinates, or more frequent trips throughout the day. I remember a patient, a retiree named Carl, who was drinking 4 diet sodas daily. He was meticulous about his health, but couldn't figure out why his symptoms were progressing. We decided on a simple 2-week trial where he switched to sparkling water with a tiny splash of real fruit juice. He was astounded. In just that short time, the constant feeling of pressure and urgency he had accepted as normal diminished more than it had in years. He wasn't giving up hydration or flavor, just that one specific irritant. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to become a label detective for just 1 week. Check for words like sugar-free, diet, aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin on everything from drinks to yogurt to gum. I know this can feel daunting because these sweeteners are everywhere, and we get used to that intense sweetness. But please trust me on this. Your taste buds will adjust surprisingly quickly. Within a week or 2, natural flavors like a ripe strawberry or a squeeze of lemon in your water will taste more vibrant and satisfying. You can expect to notice a difference in urinary comfort, particularly that feeling of irritation, within 2 to 3 weeks of making this change. For practical alternatives, I encourage my patients to explore plain or sparkling water infused with slices of cucumber, citrus, or a few muddled berries. If you need a touch of sweetness, a very small amount of real honey or maple syrup is often less irritating than a massive dose of a chemical sweetener. The goal is to move away from daily exposure. Moving on to habit 4, neglecting key nutrients. I see it often in clinic. Men who are careful about their weight try to stay active and even avoid obvious dietary pitfalls, but who overlook the quiet role that specific nutrients play in keeping the prostate healthy. One patient, Mr. Carter, 71, a wonderful man and incredibly diligent about his health. He walked every day and avoided junk food, but he was struggling with a frequent, urgent need to urinate that was starting to interfere with his social life. When we reviewed his diet, it became clear that while he was eating enough food, he wasn't eating the right kinds of foods to specifically support his prostate. His story is so common. Many of us focus on eating less, but we don't always focus on eating for the specific health of our organs. The prostate gland has unique nutritional needs, and when we fall short, it can't function optimally. First is zinc. Your prostate holds more zinc than any other organ in your body. It's absolutely essential for keeping inflammation in check and supporting normal cell function. When zinc levels are low, the risk of prostate enlargement increases. Next is vitamin D, which acts less like a vitamin and more like a hormone in your body. It helps regulate cell growth and calm inflammation. Low levels are strongly linked to prostate issues, and since our ability to make it from sunlight decreases with age, we often need to be more intentional about getting it from foods like fatty fish or a supplement. Finally, vitamin C, a powerful antioxidant, helps protect prostate cells from the daily wear and tear that contributes to inflammation. Think of your prostate like a high-performance engine. It can't run smoothly on low quality or the wrong type of fuel. It needs specific premium nutrients to operate without overheating and causing problems. The challenge with prostate health is that problems develop quietly over years. You don't feel the cells enlarging or becoming inflamed until there's enough tissue to physically press on the urethra and cause symptoms. That's why being proactive with nutrition is so powerful. Catching this early allows you to use food as medicine to support healthy function and slow progression. For my patient, we made a few simple swaps. He started adding a handful of pumpkin seeds to his salad, incorporated more fatty fish like salmon into his weekly meals, and began taking a targeted supplement to address his vitamin D deficiency based on a blood test. Within a few months, he reported a noticeable improvement. The constant urgency had settled down, and he felt back in control. So my direct call to action for you is this. This week, focus on adding one zinc-rich food to your diet. Could you snack on a few pumpkin seeds each day, or add a serving of lentils to a soup or stew? It's a small, simple step that sends a direct message of support to your prostate. While adding the right foods is crucial, it's just as important to avoid the wrong ones. The next habit involves a common category of foods and drinks that may quietly fuel prostate problems through acidity and irritation. I had a conversation with a new patient not long ago, a gentleman in his early 70s who was determined to regain the energy and vigor of his younger years. He confessed that on the advice of a friend at the gym, he had started using a testosterone booster he bought online. He initially felt a burst of energy, but soon after, his urinary symptoms, which had been mild, became severe. He told me, "Doc, I thought I was just turning back the clock. I had no idea I could be making things worse down there." While it's true that testosterone levels naturally decline, adding more hormone into your system without medical supervision is like pouring gasoline on a smoldering fire for many men. When you introduce supplemental testosterone, your body converts a significant portion of it into a much more potent hormone called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. DHT is a primary driver of prostate cell growth. For a man who may already have an enlarged prostate, BPH, this surge in DHT acts as a direct growth signal, encouraging the gland to get even larger, which then tightens the squeeze on the urethra and dramatically worsens all those urinary symptoms. Hormone therapy is not a do-it-yourself project. If you are experiencing low energy, low libido, or other signs of low testosterone, the only safe first step is to have an open conversation with your doctor. They can order simple blood tests to check your levels, and if treatment is truly needed, prescribe a monitored and carefully dosed regimen that includes regular checkups to ensure your prostate remains healthy. For my patient, we discontinued the over-the-counter booster under my supervision. We then worked on natural ways to support his vitality through strength training and specific dietary changes. Within 8 months, his urinary flow improved significantly, and his energy levels stabilized in a much healthier way. His story underscores a crucial principle when it comes to your hormones. Balance under professional guidance is everything, not just adding more. This approach empowers you to make changes that support your entire system, not just one part of it. Now, another common mistake involves reaching for a different kind of pill for everyday ailments, one that can also disrupt your body's delicate inner ecosystem in surprising ways. I completely understand the urge. You feel a cold coming on, or maybe a slight twinge in your sinuses, and you think, I'll just use those leftover antibiotics from last time to knock this out quick. It feels proactive. It feels like you're taking control of your health and avoiding a worse illness down the road. I truly get that reasoning, but that habit of self-prescribing antibiotics for every sniffle is actively harming the very ecosystem of your body and can be a direct irritant to your prostate. The core issue is that antibiotics are designed to kill bacteria, but they aren't smart bombs. They're more like broad-spectrum herbicides. While they might take out a few bad bacteria, they also wipe out vast colonies of the beneficial protective bacteria that live in your gut. This community of good bacteria, your microbiome, is fundamental for regulating inflammation throughout your entire body, including your prostate. When you disrupt this balance, you essentially disarm your body's natural defense system, allowing low-grade systemic inflammation to flare up. This inflammation doesn't stay in your gut. It travels, and the prostate is a common site where it settles, exacerbating swelling and all the frustrating symptoms that come with it. This creates a vicious cycle. An inflamed prostate can make it difficult to fully empty your bladder. That residual urine sitting in the bladder becomes a perfect breeding ground for actual bacterial infections, which then might truly require an antibiotic, further damaging your microbiome. I think of one patient, let's call him Frank, who was a classic example. He was a vibrant man in his late 60s who was constantly battling what he called little infections. He'd often self-medicate with old pills. His prostate symptoms were terrible when we connected the dots, and he stopped this habit, focusing instead on probiotics and hydration at the first sign of a cold. The change was remarkable. His constant urinary discomfort decreased significantly within a few weeks. The rule here is simple and non-negotiable. Antibiotics are powerful tools that should only be used when prescribed by a doctor for a confirmed bacterial infection. They are not for viral colds, they are not for general prevention, and they are never to be shared or saved for later. Listening to your body's signals is the first step, but having a professional interpret them is the wisdom that truly protects your health. This approach respects your body's complex balance and prevents you from accidentally doing more harm than good. So here we are. You now possess something incredibly powerful, knowledge. And with that knowledge, you have a real choice to make. You are not broken, and what you're experiencing is not just some inevitable sentence you have to accept. Many men feel frustrated, even embarrassed by these changes, and that feeling of being alone in this is completely normal. But understanding the root cause of the problem is your first and most crucial step toward taking back control. We've covered the 7 everyday habits that quietly contribute to prostate inflammation and those frustrating symptoms. Individually, each habit chips away at your comfort. Together, they create a cascade of pressure and irritation that impacts your sleep, your confidence, and your daily life. The brilliant news is that you hold the power to reverse this course. You do not need to make radical, overwhelming changes all at once. Lasting improvement comes from awareness followed by small, consistent, and intentional steps. This week, I want you to choose just one of these 7 habits. Pick the one that resonated most with you and focus all your energy on changing that single behavior. Maybe it's swapping that diet soda for sparkling water. Perhaps it's setting a timer for your next soak in the tub. Or maybe it's making that appointment to talk to your doctor about your medications instead of self-prescribing. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. Your prostate is responsive to care, and it is never too late to start supporting it. If this video brought you clarity, please do give it a like. It truly helps us reach other men who need this information. Share it with a friend, a brother, or your partner. You never know who else is struggling in silence. And I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me, which one of these 7 habits will you tackle first? You've made it this far because you care about your health and your future. Let's move forward together. Your journey to better sleep, greater comfort, and reclaiming your vitality starts with one single, simple change today.